Welcome back. Welcome back. You're still with Perspective, and we're talking to Pak Imron Zuhri from Media Track on big data. The big data.
Big data.
What is analytics? I can understand analytics. I do analysis as well. But when you're dealing with so many data, who does the algorithm? Who does the way you analyze data? Is that your company, for example, or is it somebody else? Is it a program?
My company employs what the so-called data scientists nowadays.
The nerds.
The nerds. It evolved the terms. Yeah, we used to call them the nerds, and then suddenly the Wall Street people, because they get paid a lot, start to call them the quant. Nowadays, called data scientists.
Why the quant?
I don't know. Now data scientists, they are responsible in trying to do a lot of research on how to mine this data to get something more insight out of them. And the difference between analysis and analytics is like this. With analysis, you start with an assumption, and then you try to prove your assumption based on the facts. In analytics, actually, you start with the data.
So you look at it.
You look at it, and then you try to get some insight out of it, and then make decision based on that. It is actually easier than
analysis.
Easier said than actually done, because you have to shift your paradigm, the way you think. Let me give you an example. For example, why analytics sometimes is not that easy to implement. If you look at the soccer, for example, and the penalty kicks, actually the data said that you can increase, if you're a goalkeeper, you can increase your probability of getting the ball instead of trying to figure out whether you have to go left or right before the other player kick the ball. If you stay in the middle, you increase the odds by 7%.
This is what data says.
This is what the data says. But if you're a goalkeeper, it is very difficult for you to follow that.
Sure.
Why? Because if it happened that you know, statistically, then you get it wrong, then you look stupid.
Yeah.
It's that although your odds is actually bigger,
you don't follow that odd.
If you follow that odd, and then suddenly you couldn't catch the ball, then you look stupid, because you look like you're not putting an effort doing nothing. So sometimes, even if the data tells you what to do, it's not always easy to follow that.
Right.
You need to be brave.
It's basically correlation.
It's
between talking about the goal thing is that if you're standing in the middle, there is so much that did not go into the goal, and if you're standing on the left, those are correlation. But who decides on this correlation? Do you look at it? Do you find them? Do you discover them, or do you?
Yeah, you discover them. That's the right terms. You just collect all the data and you look at it,
and you see which parts has got a similarity.
Yes, and in this case, you look for the optimum solution or the optimum numbers based on those data, and the optimum solution says that your chances is actually bigger if you just don't move.
Stand in the middle.
Stand in the middle.
I'll remember that. But
so sometimes the result can be counterintuitive.
Counterintuitive.
Yes.
That's another thing that I want to talk about. When you analyze data, you basically have to look for something. Try to look for something. I mean, not everyone can see patterns where there are patterns. Is there a specific science for that? Is there a specific expert that do that? Look at data and sees like, oh, look at this. It's going more or less upward, or it's going like, I don't know.
Well, basically, all science, what the scientists are doing is all like that.
Not me.
So in this day of age, used to be before that the only field that specializing in looking at data used to be taught like only statisticians. But in nowadays situation in a big data analytics firms all over the world, they employed not only statisticians but also mathematicians, economists, because economists also look at data, and biologists, chemists, because they also like it's different part of data. And then because we need to borrow a lot of things from each other's. It's a multidisciplinary field nowadays. So that's why in Wall Street they hired a lot of physicists, for example.
Physicists?
Yes.
For what?
So apparently the movement of the stock market is actually similar to the movement to a certain
I'm learning every day.
Yes.
We have to break again.
Yeah.
Please stay with us and we'll be back.